Hey guys, man, if you are in the Chattanooga, North Georgia area and you're even thinking about buying a house, you need to listen to this. I'm Kevin Blair with Element Home Loans, and you have found your way to Mortgage Sense, a common sense approach to mortgages. And I've got a fantastic young man with me today, and you are going to be so I want to use a word. You're going to be blessed when you finish listening to this. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the strongest interviews that I've ever done, and I can't wait. Daniel McKee, how are you, sir?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I told you when we found you, okay, and we've been watching, we've been paying attention. We are students of success, and like I told you the other day, I'm in this business 25 years, and I still want to learn. In fact, I hired a new coach back in July just to kick my tail even more, to even sharpen my sword even sharper. Okay. So I'm going to give you a 2-minute breakdown of how I do things and why I do things, because to me, why is even more important. Okay. So 11 years ago, Daniel, we started a radio show here in town. All right. And I did that for 4 or 5 years, 6 years ago, because you know what worked 10 years ago don't work now. All right. What worked 5 years ago don't work now. So 6 years ago, we turned it into a podcast. In about 6 or 7 months, we completely revamped our podcast. And like I told you right before we started, it's kind of exploding on us, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do is I want great information, accurate information, honest information. And I started this whole thing to expose the games that are in this business.
Yeah.
All right. So now, to me, now this is just Kevin Blair. That's all. All right. To me, who we are is more important than what we do. All right. So when people are looking for a realtor or a lender or whatever they're looking for, if they're out looking for something, to me it's more important about who that person is rather than what they do. So tell us, who is Daniel and Abby McKee?
um, wow, that's a broad question.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, Daniel McKee and then my wife, Abby McKee, we're in business together. We're blessed to be in business together. We have been in the real estate business for about 3 years, and we decided real estate was always something that we enjoyed, something that we wanted to sort of jump into
Sure.
later on in our lives. We had our first house we sort of, slowly flipped on our own, and so it was something that we wanted to get into later on. And then COVID hit, and that just makes you sort of examine every part of your life. And so we just thought, you know what, there's no time like the present. Like, let's just go ahead and do this now instead of waiting for the someday. And we have been super blessed since we've been in. We have found a passion really for helping people and assisting families to steward what is oftentimes their greatest asset. And we actually have a saying, and it's serving families and honoring legacies. And that is really what we feel like we get to do every single day. We get to serve families by empowering them to make good decisions about either getting into a new home, maybe it's their first home, maybe it's a home that they've had for a long time, and the last time they bought was in the 1980s. Well, things have changed a lot since then.
A little bit.
And so we find pleasure in being able to help them navigate that process. And then also, there are so many people that are working to steward the legacy of their parents, because really one of the amazing things about real estate is the power to create generational wealth.
Yeah, man.
And if people just get started now, then all of a sudden there's generations that have passed, and they have a really powerful asset that can do a lot of things for them as far as elderly care is concerned, and then can do a lot for their children, and we have the opportunity to help them steward that resource as well. And so it's really a blessing for us to get to meet people, to love people, to connect people. there's actually some pictures behind me, and they say a couple things. First, the serving families and honoring legacies, and another one that says relationships over everything, and one more that says that we are connectors. And that's really what we feel like our job is as real estate agents. We're less salespeople, and we're more facilitators. We're more educators. We're more knowledge brokers, and we find pride and joy in being able to communicate well to the people that we work with and really empower them to make good decisions for them and their families.
And you said it right there, because there's several. I mean, we could do 5, 10, 15-minute podcasts on just about 5 or 6 things that you just said.
That's right.
That are so strong and so valuable. But I've said often, Daniel, I don't think what we do is sales. Okay, people think sales, and they think, and I buy cars every couple of years, and I'm not dogging that industry at all. But they think sales is like when we go to a car dealership.
That's right.
It's hours and hours, and it's a back and forth, and you got your hands up and you're dodging and weaving. I don't think that's what we do. I know it's not what we do. It is about advising people, walking them down that path for them to understand it.
That's right.
And for example, just last night at 5:30, I met with a sweet, sweet young couple. And guess what? 3 years ago, they were in that process of trying to buy a home. And we remember what 3 years ago was like.
That's right.
Daniel, they made offers on 30 different homes and still did not get one. And then they gave up.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's rough.
So they came to me last night. They found me through one of our realtor partners. They came to me last night. They wanted to meet in person because they didn't want to be pushed, and they didn't get the information that they needed.
That's right.
And so we sat here for about an hour and a half last night, and I fell in love with this young couple because, number one, they were hungry for knowledge. They were hungry for information. And she says, "Can I ask you a question like I'm going to ask my daddy?" And I said, "Of course. I was old enough to be their daddy. She said, "Is it really safe to buy a home now, or should we wait until the interest rates come down?"
Wow.
I said, "You know what? That is such a great question." And and what I did is I took a piece of paper and I said, okay, they were looking in the $400,000 range. All right. They were paying $1,600 a month. So I said, okay, we're going to do 3 years. 3 years, you're going to pay almost $20,000 a month, a year in rent. That's $60,000. For that $400,000 with what they had for down payment, their payments were going to go up to about $2,200. So the difference in the payments and the rent and then the equity built. And I didn't do it at 10%. I didn't even do it at 7%. I did it at a 5% increments. After 3 years, they were $69,000 ahead.
Ahead, right?
Ahead.
Yeah.
More payments, okay? Less cash flow, but they were ahead almost $70,000. And she said, "Yeah, I think it's the time to buy right now."
Yeah, right.
Because if we look at it and say, okay, that $400,000 home, guess what? Next year, it's going to be worth $420,000, $425,000.
That's right.
And if the interest rates do drop, then they're back to where they were 3 years ago with all these multiple offers and can't handle it. So how did you get into real estate? You came from your path of your business is almost as diverse as my path for my business, my first career. So how did you get into real estate?
So, like I said, we'd always had an interest in being in real estate at some point in our lives. But I had a undergraduate degree, a bachelor's of music education, with an emphasis in choral music, and then I had a master's degree in church music. So I grew up in a pastor's home. And so, music is a big part of who Abby and I are, like a big passion of ours, and that's really what we, thought we were going to do for the rest of our lives is, teach or be in church work. And so, like I said, COVID sort of happened and some things changed on us very suddenly with my work situation. Abby was staying at home at the time with our girls. And so Honestly, it was a really cool experience. We both sort of looked at each other and had this aha moment, enlightenment from the Lord. I think like just something that we both knew in our spirits, like, hey, like it's time to go ahead and make this transition now. Without faith, it's impossible to please God, and so let's just go ahead and jump in with both feet, and we're gonna hold open our hands and say, hey, Lord, we're gonna trust you in this. And honestly, it was like that quick. There was no like slow ramp or anything like that. It was just um, let's do this now. And so we did. That's really the it was almost like flipping a switch, from
Yes.
not being involved in the industry to all of a sudden like this is what we're going to do. And the Lord prepares us before we get there. And so after we were in it, we could look back and see all the ways in which he had prepared us to make that jump and to make that switch.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Okay, and guys, I'm going to tell you because I know he won't tell you, but I'm going to tell you something. He's been in this 3 years now. 3 years. Uh, Top 4% in the whole United States. Okay? Are you kidding me? So yeah, and trust me, I hear what you're saying, and I applaud you for your faith. I applaud you in being able to put that out there. Okay, that's so very important. And as a father of grown kids and with 9 grandkids, I appreciate your background. I appreciate your willingness to share your faith. That's very, very strong. So I've got one question, and then we're going to do a little call to action. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So in 3 years, okay, in 3 years that you and Abby have been doing this, has there been a defining moment that you said, now I know this is why God has me in this business?
That's a great question. Um, I don't know that there's been like one singular moment, but instead it's just a compounding of those moments over time. There are definitely times in our work that we really feel the worth of what we're doing. And when I was a teacher, there were certainly times when I really felt the worth of what I was doing.
Sure.
Of course, in
Sure.
ministry as well. And there have just been several instances like that in real estate that um, where the worth of what we're doing is it means way more than like what our earning power is
Sure.
in the transaction. And there's a lady that I helped right when I started at the very beginning. She had purchased a home out in the Saudi Daisy area, and it had a balloon loan, and it had been a long time. I mean, she was sort of like had been underwater, and it was just a whole mess, right?
Right.
And so she wanted to get out, and her dream was to move to Cleveland so that she could live close to her grandkids and go to their baseball games at night because she was,
Yeah.
too her eyesight wasn't great, and so she couldn't go to their baseball games because she couldn't drive home.
Right.
Um, and so it was a very long process, but I was able to walk with her through the entire process. She sold her home. She bought one in Cleveland. She like standing with her at the sitting with her at the closing table, like, you sort of, everybody's in tears a little bit, right? And it's because there is so much worth and so much merit to assisting somebody in their journey to really accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish. And at the end of the day, that's the way we serve other people, right? We serve them by, in a fiduciary capacity, putting their interest above our own and
That's right.
making sure that they have all the resources that they need to wind up where they need to wind up, and for us, that's just like the bedrock of who we are. Even like there's a lady that called me and she said, hey, Daniel, I've just lost my job. Like, I know that there's a lot of equity in my home, so I think I want to sell my home and pull that equity out because I don't know, what these next couple of years are going to look like, right? And I was like, that sounds great. Went over, looked at her house, and basically told her, like, no, you need to stay put. You don't need to sell your house. Like, you're not going to get as much equity as you think you're going to get out of it. Like, you're going to make it through. Everything's fine. Give me a call, like, and we'll work through whatever comes next. But let's not pull the trigger on this because it's not going to end up being a good situation for you.
See,
Yeah.
that right there, that right there is why why you are successful and why you're going to be successful, and why God is blessing you beyond measure right now, because you put her first.
Right.
You know it and I know it. 99 out of 100 agents would have sold the house because it was a deal.
Right.
Okay. And I shouldn't say 99 out of 100. Let's go 90 out of 100. Okay?
Sure.
Let's go 90 out of 100. So, brother, that is so fantastic. And there's a reason why you guys are being so successful. It's not a secret. It's not an accident. I applaud you for that. And I ain't your daddy. I'm old enough to be your daddy, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud for you.
Appreciate it.
And I look forward to being on this journey with you even further. Okay. What's the best way to reach y'all?
That's a great question. So, I'll say what our cell phone numbers are. We have a website. It's McKeehomesgroup.com. And so that's obviously going to include all of our information, the ways to get in touch with us through email and by phone. Again, that's just McKee Homes Group, MCKEE. Sometimes people get me confused with the Collegedale McKees, and I have to be honest and say that I don't correct them unless they ask me to. Okay. McKeehomesgroup.com. That's going to have all of our contact information, as well as some information about us, what our featured listings are, stuff like that. And then our cell phone numbers, mine is 423-718-7371. And then Abby's cell phone number is 423-605-6199.
Fantastic. And guys, again, my name is Kevin Blair with the Kevin Blair team here at Element Home Loans. Our website is kevinblairteam.com. You can go to right up here somewhere. There's an About Me page where you can click on a link, fill out a short form. It'll come right to me. I'll contact you. If you want information and numbers on homes, give me a call. If you want to look at homes anywhere, and I know this, anywhere from Cleveland, Tennessee to Dalton, Georgia to Dunlap, Tennessee, probably upwards to Knoxville, that's in our MLS. I know Daniel and Abby can help you. Daniel, thank you so much for being a guest, man. Continued success. And guys, if you like this kind of information, hit like, hit subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. We are here to help you. We're here to serve you. Daniel, brother, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Great job, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Kevin.
All righty. Bye-bye.